All right, it is spring 2022. The snow is gone. It's the end of March, and I'm out riding bikes again with Tyler. Yeah, good to be with you, Tyler. So he's on the Ibis Exie. I'm on the Ripley. For those of you who are new to the channel, I've been riding the Ibis Ripley for 3 seasons. Man, that is the longest I've ridden any bike in a long time. And it's just been, I mean, just go watch any video I've talked about the Ripley to death, you know? And it's just been the perfect trail bike. I've always set mine up, this is probably important to know actually if you're considering a Ripley or an Exie. I've always had my Ripley set up kind of as lightweight as possible. You know, kind of always right around 25 pounds, kind of faster cross-country-ish tires, and just always set it up to be really light, really fast, to just go hammer on. Now there's other guys out there, you know, my buddy Luke, he has an Ibis Ripley, but he has a Fox 36 on his with the fork at 140 millimeters of travel. Lots of ways to do it. It's good. I've had mine at one point with a 140 mil fork on it, but mine's got 130 millimeters on it. And today we're gonna do a head-to-head. Compare this Ibis Exie, the new cross-country kid on the block, to the Ripley, who, you know, the Ripley's a trail bike, but man, for me, it's been a fast cross-country bike. So we'll get up the rest of this climb. Most of our climbs here in Utah kind of start with a bunch of climbing and then a lot of descending. But we're gonna head out on a trail called Shoreline today, which has a lot more pedaling. So we'll get off this fire road and onto the single track and bring you guys along for the ride. Man, so the new Ibis Exie, I mean, let's just get this out of the way straight away. It just is so fast. It's just a mini rocket ship. It's got super fast tires on it. It's got the Recon Race tires on it. That helps, obviously. But the bike is just, puts you in this position, almost like a road bike, where you just want to hammer. And it's a lot of fun to go out and push the pedals on. The Ripley, it climbs so well that I don't know if there's like a significant difference in how much better the Ibis Exie climbs. But it, you know, it definitely feels like it gets up the trail a little quicker. That's not really what it comes down to though, in my opinion. My opinion is like the type of terrain you're gonna ride. So the Ibis Exie has 100 millimeters of rear DW Link travel. The suspension system in the rear there. And then the front is 120 millimeter Fox 34, and it's the step cast version, so the little bit lighter cross-country version. Where the Ripley has 120 mil travel in the rear and 130 Fox 34 up front. Slightly different geometry too. About a 67 degree head tube angle on the Exie that Tyler's riding, and 66.5 on the Ripley. Tyler and I were just talking about the differences in the seat tube angle of these two bikes when you switch between them. So you're about a 76 degree seat tube angle on this Ripley. And you know, the standard on seat tube angles has really changed a lot in the last 3 or 4 years. And these bikes are now getting, you know, showing up with much steeper seat tube angles. And the reason why is when you get onto a climb, it might be hard to tell from the GoPro right here, but we are on a little bit of a climb here. And that urge to kind of scoot forward on the saddle, you know, kind of get forward to help get the weight of that front tire down, but also just to kind of get up there and get over your pedals a little more. It kind of feels nice, right? Well, these cross-country bikes like this Exie, you know, it has a 74 degree seat tube angle. And we'll let these runners go by. Everyone's getting out and enjoying the nice weather. Hey, good morning, guys. Have fun.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, guys.
Anyway, so 74 degree seat tube angle on the Exie. And the reason is that bike's not really designed for the type of rider who's looking to go straight up a hill and then bomb straight down it. The bike's not necessarily built for that, although it can do it. It can go downhill really fast. In fact, I just got done riding some of the most challenging trails in southern Utah I just raced that bike 2 weeks ago on a 50-mile mountain bike race that has some really challenging downhill sections of trail with really technical, demanding terrain, and it gets through it. But man, I've also raced that same race a couple years ago, 2 years ago, on this Ripley, and the Ripley certainly makes those technical downhill sections a lot easier and maybe at a little faster, more controlled speed than the Exie. But you know, back to the seat tube angle, for just hammering on the pedals on more flat terrain, it's kind of nice to be sat back a little further, kind of like how you would be more like on a road bike. It's really a lot of fun that Tyler comes out and rides these bikes with me when we do these head-to-head bike reviews, because we're able to switch these bikes back and forth multiple times on the same trail. I mean, that's really, if you're considering two bikes, if there's a way for you to do that, to ride both bikes on the same trail on the same day, and man, even better if you can do it at the same time with a buddy, that sure makes the discovery process a lot smoother in terms of, you know, not having like a bias necessarily of which one you like better, but really comparing the two back and forth. You'll notice mine also has this blue kind of graphics everywhere. Salt Cycles, the bike shop that I buy most of my bikes from, did this custom, it's a vinyl sticker here. Did this custom vinyl sticker everywhere, kind of customized my black. It would otherwise be gray and orange. All right, there you go, Tyler. And then obviously the Exie is stock, and I'll just tell you guys real quick, the Exie has this carbon layup. It's not, the sun's not out yet because we're just riding before we go to work today, so it's still kind of early, but I'll show you another picture. But the carbon layup on this Exie is so cool. It's just this raw carbon. It's just a really, really cool looking frame, you know, hand built in the United States out there in California. But, and the bike is just, I'm embarrassed to even tell you guys how much this thing weighs. It is just, it's crazy. It's crazy. Well, we got a tailwind, Tyler. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
All right, I'll follow you. Okay. Back on the Exie. This thing really is just a rocket, man. Both bikes are just so fast. I love coming out and riding these more, you know, a lot of my videos, if you watched my videos before, it's just descending these really awesome descents that are more high speed fast, but it's nice to come out here. And like I said, the GoPro doesn't show you real well here, but we're on a slight little uphill. Today we've got a tailwind, which feels awesome. But just come out here and pedal on these more tame trails and just put in those nice efforts. That's what this bike's all about, is just going out and collecting the miles, hammering some miles. In terms of like switching between the two bikes, you get on this bike and it feels, you know, the negative way to say it is this bike feels a little more twitchy, right? A little more twitchy feeling. Morning. And it's just a little quicker, just really sporty, just really eager to be moved around and pushed around the trail. The Ripley, oddly enough, feels that way compared to other bikes in the kind of short travel category of 29ers. Tyler was just messing around with the suspension, locking out the suspension on that Ripley, and you know, he and I both agree, we just on that bike we never even touch it, just leave it open all the time. It climbs so well in that open position. You know, you get less bounce and just feels better, just hugs the terrain better while you're riding. This Exie is the same way. I just leave that shock open all the time. You'll notice on mine, I don't have the little lever on my handlebar here in this Exie to you know, lock and unlock that shock. I just took that off and leave it open all the time because I just like it that way anyway. So less clutter on the bars. Another thing to think about if you're considering the Ripley or the Exie, which there's not a bike I can recommend to basically anyone more than that Ibis Ripley. I mean, I just think for most people, that is the bike. It's just so good at everything it does, and can handle cross-country situations and terrain and long days in the saddle, but it can still go downhill fast. Put a little bit meatier tire on there and it goes downhill fast. But with regard to the water bottle cage on this size medium, both these are size mediums, you get a little bit of interference with the water bottle cage on this size medium Exie. Getting the water bottle in and out, it kind of touches that shock ever so slightly, and not a big deal, you know. I've already got over 200 miles on this bike, and it's not been a problem. I also use a hip pack most of the time that I ride, you know, where I just put my water bottle in my hip pack, but you have more room is what I'm saying on the Ripley. A little easier to get the water bottle in and out. It's not so close to that shock. I'll scoot this one up in front there. There you go. Yeah, you get back on the Ripley and you definitely feel that extra travel. That extra 20 millimeters, it just feels a little deeper. So if you don't already know, I usually own at least 2 bikes at a time. And so I usually have a short travel bike for trails and situations like what you see in today's video, right? And for me, the past 3 seasons, that bike has been the Ripley, right? But if you're the type of person that has 1 bike at a time, which is most people I know have 1 bike, 1 mountain bike anyway, and you're choosing between these 2 bikes, I would think most people would lean toward the Ripley. The Ripley's going to get more done in terms of more different types of more terrain. But if you're a type of guy that races a bit in the midweek series, or you know, just that's important to you, I think there are some worthwhile advantages to going with that Exie. And like I said, I've ridden that Exie on some really demanding trails, and it's done amazing. The Ripley makes those more demanding situations a little easier, obviously. But if you like to go downhill on rough terrain fast, this Ripley just does it better. A little bit more stable and confidence inspiring. But man, if you want a rocket ship, I've never ridden anything like that Exie. It's incredible. Cool little bridge we've got here in Draper, Utah, and this is called the Bonneville Shoreline Trail. It's been here for a long time. Kind of covers all of the greater Salt Lake City, Utah area. This trail does. It just goes for miles.
It's much more active on the suspension. It's just more comfortable. This thing though, like when you're coming up an incline, like after a decline, where you have like that compression.
Yeah.
I feel like most bikes do slow down a little bit. This one's just like immediately ready to just go whoop, it's like flying up the hill.
Yeah.
It feels like a hardtail that way.
Yeah, that's a good observation. You couldn't hear Tyler very well. He's just saying where most bikes you come down to a compression to go back up a little hill, you'll feel that suspension suck up some of your momentum. He's recognizing on the Exie today, when those compressions come, this acts more like a hardtail, and you actually hold your speed and don't lose your momentum sagging into that suspension. And yeah, I'm glad that he mentioned that, because that is how I would describe it as well. It really sucks all the available energy out of your experience on the trail here and puts it into forward movement. This is a section of trail that actually gets kind of technical. We don't ride over here all that often. Kind of a tight little climb here with lots of rocks and roots. And this section, as I remember, is tight and hard to get through. Oh, had to dab. Tyler made it clean. Tyler cleans everything. He's just that good. He really is, actually. He's a very talented rider. That's a tight little section. I forget how tight that is back there.
It's easier coming back this way.
Oh, is it? Okay. Yeah, this trail doesn't get ridden all that much by bikers. More of a running, trail runners type area over here. There we go. Yeah, I mean, the Ripley's just softer. I would have a hard time. Oh, hey, sorry, bud.
Go for it, man.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
No, have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Kind of a blind corner there. I would have a hard time choosing the Exie's such a neat bike, but I think I'd have a hard time choosing that over the Ripley as my only bike. I'd really have to be racing a lot. Hopefully the GoPro's picking up this trail, how rocky it is. You don't get to see trails like this very often in my videos. Just because I think people like to see that fast, flowy flow trails with the jumps, you know. Oh, it is nice to be on the Ripley. I've been riding that Exie a ton lately. Yeah, just because, you know, it's the new bike and new experience, but I always love getting back on this Ripley. Yeah, I mentioned earlier Salt Cycles. This video doesn't have a video sponsor, but Salt Cycles has been so good to me. I cannot recommend a bike shop more than Jason and Amy and Chris over at Salt Cycles. They've got a huge inventory of Ibis Ripleys right now. They've also got Pivot Trail 429s, which is a similar bike, and Yeti SB130s, all in stock right now from what they just recently told me. And build you a custom bike, kind of like what I did with my Ripley here. Kind of hand pick all the bits and pieces you want, and can build you those fancy yum carbon wheels that are super lightweight that I've got on that Exie right there. Those are incredible with bird spokes. And anyway, the guys up at Salt Cycles are just amazing and have really good inventory. In a world today where you never know when a bike shop's gonna have what you want. Man, it would have been nice to be on this Ripley at True Grit.
The electric fish.
Just takes the edge off a little bit, you know. Especially riding this rocky trail right here, you can really, on the way back, you ought to ride the Ripley and see what you think.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the really technical climb. Again, the GoPro might not show it, but it's very steep and rocky. Go, Tyler. Oh, I had to dab. I had to put a foot down. Oh. Nice job, Tyler. Tyler only made it because he was on the Exie.
That's the only reason.
Only reason I would have made it if I was on the Exie. That's crazy. So what do you think about the Exie? It's been a minute since you've ridden a bike like this, right?
Yeah, I'd say
Your sniper.
the sniper, yeah, the Intent Sniper was like 23 pounds. So this one, you're like, what, 22 pounds?
I know.
Plus wider rims.
20,
Yeah, it's nuts. It's so fast.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's just, it's a rocket ship. But it is, like, it's not as stable, I would say, even as the Sniper was. But it rewards you on the uphill for sure. It just takes off.
Kind of anywhere it can, it finds momentum and finds forward movement.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not as comfortable though. Like not as comfortable as the Ripley and other bikes with more suspension. But if you're just racing, like that's the bike.
Yeah. So I guess, you know, if you had to choose between these two bikes, you know, I know the type of riding you like to do. You'd pick the Ripley, obviously.
Yeah.
So who might be deciding between these two bikes? I mean, I think about David Gangler. You know, he races all those Tuesday night races. He likes to go fast. He owns two bikes, you know, but he might pick. You think he might pick the Exie over the Ripley, or do you think even a guy like him would still go?
If you're only one bike, I'd still say the Ripley. But if you're purely racing, then for sure. I mean, it's a great bike. Like you could do a lot with it. If your terrain is cross country, you don't have those steep downhills or anything, like for sure, I would definitely consider the Exie at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to build a case against the Ripley though,
It is.
almost in any situation if you like to go fast, because it can still do basically any trail in Utah.
Yeah.
It might have to slow down on some of those trails where you'd want to be on an Ibis Ripley or something longer travel, but man, the Ripley just does everything so well.
Yeah, it does. It's a great bike.
Let's see how he does this. Oh, I don't know how he does this. It's only because you're on the Ripley.
That's the only reason.
If I was on the Ripley, I would have made it. Tyler's just more talented than me. He's more handsome than me.
This one does, like when you start climbing technical,
Yeah.
it's better.
Well, yeah, that's just the way suspension, that's the way it works.
It stays on the ground better.
Yeah. This bike feels so freaking light though.
It does.
It's crazy. I wish the GoPro picked up this terrain a little better, you guys. It's much more rocky than most of the terrain we ride in our videos. All right, heading back toward that cool little rock section that's really tight. Let's see if I can get it this time. Man, switching between the Exie and the Ripley makes the Ripley feel like a kind of long travel bike almost, like it just feels so squishy. This bike will kind of ping off of stuff a little bit, you know, get pushed around on the trail ever so slightly. And it's funny because I'm usually talking about how the Ripley does that compared to other bikes, but today the Exie gets pushed offline a little bit and around the trail a little bit. All right, back to so the trick is to kind of keep my momentum up a little bit. It's easier going this way too. It's easier going that way because it's downhill a little bit.
Yeah.
Uphill, that was certainly more challenging.
I feel like the turn's better too.
Yeah. Oh, it's easy to move this bike around though. That's the fun thing about a really light bike. And both these bikes are super light. Geez, I think that Ripley's only 26.5 pounds or something. In any case, the nice thing about the light bike, and the reason why I talk about having a light bike and why I like it so much is, first of all, I'm a pretty small guy, right? I'm 140 pounds, 5'8", ride these medium bikes, size mediums usually. But just that ability to just push the bike with your momentum and your feet and stuff. And look, it's only a couple pounds, but doing that over the course of a ride, it's just nice to move around a lightweight bike. And you can even feel the difference between these two, which they're both, like I said, incredibly lightweight. That was fun, Tyler, thanks.
That was fun.
Yeah, we don't get to come out here and ride these trails that often.
I know.
It's kind of windy today too. We've had a tailwind the whole way coming from that side, obviously, and now we're going back into the wind. Hopefully this microphone, hopefully you can hear me. This microphone's not picking up too much wind, hopefully. Now we've got a fun little descent here. This is mostly a hiking trail. It's a multi-use trail. It's both bikes and riders. So it's not just the bike that feels a little more twitchy than the Ripley, although it's not bad. It's the tires too. So I'm on Recon Race front and rear tires, which are semi-slick tires made by Maxxis that are just that, semi-slick. But you know, they're actually, I actually really trust the tire and really like it. And the Ripley is set up with a Recon up front. The Recon Race's big brother, and then an Ardent Race on the back. And that Recon, man, it's my favorite tire right now. I love that thing. That might be the first time this trail has ever been filmed, certainly by me. Hey guys, it was so fun riding bikes today with Tyler. Switching between the Exie and the Ripley was a lot of fun, and I mentioned it in the video, but to ride two bikes that you're considering back to back on the same trail on the same day, and preferably with a buddy kind of on the actual same ride, is the best way to do it. It just really gives you that opportunity to experience the two different suspension styles and whatever the differences are between the bikes, just right firsthand like that. It just really shines a light on that Exie when you switch between that and the Ripley, how cross-country that bike really is. It's just a little twitchier feeling. The suspension feels deeper on the Ripley, which is crazy to say because it's a short travel bike in and of itself. The Exie just under power. I think the real takeaway from the ride today, under power and really hammering on those pedals, that bike just complies with the terrain, just finds forward movement, forward traction, just, it's a rocket. It just hammers. It's incredible. And the Ripley, just really hopping off the Exie back on the Ripley, it really shows how capable the Ripley is. And sometimes I would forget about how capable it was because I always had longer travel bikes around. But man, this bike just felt plush today and just felt awesome. There's not a wrong bike here. I would recommend most everyone, if they're going to go with one bike, the Ripley just gets it done better than any other bike out there. I mean, even to this day, even the fact that I'm selling the Ripley and it's going to a new home, which I'm so sad to see, I can't recommend a bike more than the Ibis Ripley. It just does everything so well. It's so good. I hope you liked today's video. It had a lot more talking through the video, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. Join me here on YouTube for a live stream 2 days after this video is published. We'll talk about the Exie, talk about the race that I just had on it, a 50-mile mountain bike race that I actually ended up doing really well. I did the best I've ever done at that race. I've done a number of times. And so those live streams are a lot of fun. We'll talk about the Exie more and a little bit more about my Rocky Mountain Element that I also bought. So I'm moving away from the Ripley and replacing it with the Exie and the Rocky Mountain Element. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. More than 70% of my viewers are unsubscribed, so subscribe and stick around for more mountain bike reviews and head-to-heads like this video. Thanks, guys.